It's a moment we've all had. You walk into a room and forget why. You see a familiar face and, for a horrifying second, their name evaporates. For most of us, it's a fleeting, frustrating senior moment. But for Ruth Langsford, it's a terrifying glimpse into a future that haunts her every single day. In a raw and deeply emotional exclusive interview, the beloved Loose Women presenter, 65, has opened up about the overwhelming fear that she will be diagnosed with the same devastating condition that has afflicted both of her parents. It's a private terror that sits behind her public smile, a what-if that turns every minor lapse in memory into a potential catastrophe. "I'm 65 now," Ruth shared, her voice heavy with the weight of her family's history. And that number is a milestone she has been dreading. The double blow of family history. Ruth's fear isn't an abstract worry. It is a reality she has watched unfold twice. Her late father, Dennis Langsford, was officially diagnosed with dementia when he was 72. But as is so often the case, the signs were there long before the label. "Looking back on it, we think he was displaying signs. We just didn't know what they were," Ruth reflected. But he was in his late 60s, and I'm 65. That proximity in age is a chilling echo. Ruth has now arrived at the very stage of life where her father's health began its heartbreaking decline. It's a parallel that fuels her anxiety, turning the clock into a ticking time bomb. As if watching her father navigate the fog of dementia wasn't painful enough, Ruth is now living through it a second time. Her mother, Joan Langsford, was also diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. For years, TV viewers have watched Ruth with admiration as she has so lovingly and honestly shared her journey as a daughter and carer for her mom. She has brought cameras into her life, showing the difficult, tender, and often confusing reality of loving someone with Alzheimer's. This double blow, seeing the disease claim the minds of both parents, has left Ruth in a terrifying position. She isn't just fearing a diagnosis, she knows what's ahead. She has seen the full devastating roadmap from start to finish. "It really frightens me." This lived experience is why those senior moments feel so different for her. All the time, Ruth admitted when asked if she worries about a genetic link. Literally all the time. "If I ever have a senior moment where I go, what's her name again? Somebody that I know quite well, and I have a complete and utter blank, it really frightens me." You can feel the panic in her words. It's that sudden cold dread feeling. Is this it? Is this the start? Like so many of us, she tries to reason with the fear. I tell myself, no, it's just because you're busy or mine's busy. But the fear is a persistent shadow. "You never know," she added quietly. "And I don't want to know, actually." The agonizing choice, to test or not to test. This is perhaps the most agonizing dilemma for anyone with such a strong family history. In an age of advanced medicine, information is everywhere. A simple test could, theoretically, give her an answer. But for Ruth, the answer is a resolute no. It's a choice that may seem surprising, but her reasoning is both heartbreaking and powerfully pragmatic. "They all say, if there was a test, would you take it? I go, why? What's the point unless there's a cure?" This is the core of her decision. A test, she feels, would only provide knowledge, not power. It would be a yes or a no, but not a solution. It would be, in her eyes, a sword of Damocles hanging over her head, robbing her of the peace she has today. If the answer was yes, every good day would be tainted, and every bad day would feel like the end. Her stance, however, is not one of denial. It's one of practicality. She made it crystal clear that if the circumstances were different, her answer would be too. "If I could take a test, and they said, if you take the test, we could stop it happening, 100% I would take the test," she insisted. But they can't. And so, she chooses to live without that knowledge, bracing herself with a philosophy of acceptance. "Of course, I worry about it with both parents having had dementia, but I just think, what will be will be." Fighting back with crosswords and cross-trainers. This doesn't mean she's a passive participant in her own health. Far from it. While she can't change her genetic history, Ruth is doing everything in her power to control her future, channeling her anxiety into action. The mom of one, who famously balances her demanding TV career, which she shares with her estranged husband Eamon Holmes, with her family life, is actively boosting her cognitive health. "I do crosswords and things like that," she shared, "and I'm very active because I'm still very busy with work. They say that helps. So yeah, I do worry." This is her battle armor. The crosswords aren't just a hobby, they are a mental workout. Her busy work schedule isn't just a job, it's a way to keep her brain engaged, stimulated, and sharp. Her commitment to staying active is a direct investment in her brain's physical health. She is, in every practical way, fighting back against the shadow, building a cognitive reserve, and giving herself the best possible chance to rewrite the future she fears. A glimmer of hope in the statistics. For Ruth, and for the millions who share her fear, there is a crucial message of hope buried in the medical facts. According to the Alzheimer's Society, the fear of inheriting dementia is often greater than the reality. The website states clearly, the majority of dementia is not inherited by children and grandchildren. While some rarer types of dementia do have a strong genetic link, these represent only a small proportion of overall cases. However, the science also explains why it feels so hereditary. In many cases, like with vascular dementia, the condition itself is not inherited. Instead, it's the underlying health issues that contribute to it, such as high blood pressure or diabetes, that can be passed on from one generation to another. This distinction is everything. It means that for many, the future is not set in stone. It suggests that by managing these underlying health risks, by staying active, eating well, and keeping our minds engaged, just as Ruth is doing, we can take back a significant measure of control. Ruth's story is a powerful one. It's the raw, honest confession of a daughter who has seen the worst-case scenario play out twice. But it's also the story of a woman who, despite her profound fear, chooses to face each day with courage, honesty, and a crossword puzzle in hand.